I woke up to all these comments. Thanks, everyone, for the input. Thanks again for the replies. They are insightful, and some are an eye-opener and helped me identify some areas I need to work on. Wishing you all a great weekend. Story 1. Listening to friends and strangers for advice on their significant other rather than sitting down and talking with them. I see too many women just having all their single friends give them either toxic advice or just tell them to ditch their boyfriend. If you have a problem in the relationship, it shouldn't be anyone else's gossip. You should be working it out with them. Story 2. Playing games with the truth. For example, withholding information that you know he is not going to like, with the reasoning that omitting information is not the same as lying. Uncomfortable conversations have to be engaged with to determine where you both stand, whether compromises are to be made, or if something is a deal breaker. Story 3. Create drama because they are bored in the relationship. Literally heard women complaining they never fight with their partners, instantly calling them doormats or other derogatory terms. Story 4. Now I can only speak for myself here. I'm sure it's not the same for many men. I would say that I find welcoming or even encouraging attention from other men because it's what they are used to be pretty damaging. Story 5. Not leaving space for the guy to be honest or have a bad day, etc. If you spend days in a row talking for hours about how hard your life is at the moment, yeah, I'm probably going to say I'm doing okay to not add more to the plate, thinking I can be more honest when she's back to a better place. But that time will never come because every single day in a row is an emotional emergency of hers while mine has to wait. Story 6. Trying to absolve themselves of the need and responsibility to communicate. He should already know. Assuming bad faith. He didn't just make a mistake or not understand your perspective. He did it on purpose. Story 7. Have backups. Orbiters. For lack of a better word. No, I am not playing that game. Do you think I am buying dinner when you have another pitcher over there warming up? No. Story 8. I just broke things off with a girl because she demanded constant attention with no reciprocation. How do you expect me to text you all day when the conversation is super dry all the time? Story 9. Lack of communication. Not saying what they want. Not saying what they do not want. Believing what society tells them that men are bad communicators while actually they, as an individual outside of their gender, refuse to communicate and feel it is fine because they are part of the communicating gender. Story 10.1. Lack of personal accountability, especially for one's own insecurities about oneself. Demanding dishonest praise, then being upset by it. Entitlement and lack of appreciation. Accepting double standards for but not against oneself. Comparing problems in one's own relationship to the public appearance of others' relationships. Story 11. Failure to treat us as a priority. You having friends and making time for them is normal and healthy, but you cannot always be at their beck and call. We need times where we feel like we come first and are important to you. Story 12. Being constantly unhappy about something, no matter how trivial it is. As I adjust to each thing, there is another unhappy feeling ready to surface. If I do not change to support your unhappiness, I face consequences. If I do change, I encounter a constant stream of negative feelings ready to affect me. If you are unhappy inside, you have to fix that issue internally. It is not going to come from making me go through challenges. Story 13. Sharing intimate personal details about your boyfriend with your friends is honestly a really terrible thing to do. No, your drama-loving, loose-lipped friend, whom I don't even know, doesn't need to know personal details about my body or our sex life. It's a massive breach of privacy and super disrespectful. I have nothing to be ashamed of, but it still really bothers me. I'm a private person. I can't even imagine how people who are actually insecure feel about it. Quit this behavior, ladies. It seems to be extremely common among women, while no respectable man I have ever known would reveal intimate details about their partner with their friends. Story 14. I don't know, sometimes it is unknowingly, but having an entitled or unappreciative attitude, basically taking her man for granted and having an attitude as if he is supposed to do for her regardless. Phrases like, as a man, a real man, as you should, and yeah, that's right, will make a man grow contempt for that woman and lead to the breakdown of a relationship. It's one thing to hold a man to a gender role, It's another to rub it in his face or not appreciate the effort nonetheless. Story 15. Getting into a relationship with someone knowing who they are and then insisting on changing them. Trying to make a nerd preppy or an outdoorsy guy a city guy. Projecting their father onto him. I've seen and had way too many girls decide early in the relationship that this man is responsible for all their car, house, and yard maintenance and also their financial emergencies. Letting social media influence you into ruining your relationship. I don't care what the trends say. Don't try to loyalty test your boyfriend or smash his gaming console or call him and tell him you put water in your gas. It's immature, and a guy with half a brain will leave you. Gold prospecting. Different than gold digging. These are the girls who aren't after your money but constantly make it their business if you have it or not. They'll go Dutch on a check but also check your credit. They've been burned by a dishonest guy in the past and brought that energy to the new relationship. They'll blow up a good thing if they hear you turn down a promotion or spend some large sum on your hobby, being ashamed of what their friends will think. There's a term often used for chubby women that may as well also apply to nerdy and short men. Moped. Fun to ride, but you wouldn't want your friends to see you with it. I've seen girls blow up relationships by being visibly ashamed of who they're dating or attracted to. Internalized misogyny. Most guys worth anything here, be a man. And a red flag goes up in our heads at this point, because we know it means you're going to weaponize our gender against us at any opportunity. And it's something you're societally taught, so it's not entirely your fault, but it's a real issue. Gatekeeping sex because they don't want to rush the relationship. I'm not saying you have to be intimate with a guy on the first date, but if the guy you've been dating finds out you've been making him wait while you let others in after 1 or 2 dates. Stories are full of guys leaving because of this. Guy best friends. Almost every guy has been in a situation where he's been friends with a girl he'd have been with in a heartbeat if she'd given him the go. So when we tell you your guy best friend wants to be with you, we're not being jealous or insecure. We see how he looks at you when you think he isn't looking. We know what it looks like because we've been there. Nothing is ever good enough. Too many women I know think men don't need or deserve praise or compliments and blow up their relationships because they don't ever tell their partner when he does well but are quick to tell him when he messed up. It's also the cause of a lot of cheating because when your partner hasn't called you handsome in 2 years and someone else is complimenting you, your ego takes over. Dead bedroom. To be clear, you don't owe your partner intimacy, but your partner also doesn't owe you a relationship. The word partner implies you help each other out. I always liked the bathroom analogy. Intimacy in a relationship is like a bathroom in a house. You don't buy a house just for the bathroom, but you probably wouldn't buy a house without a bathroom. And if the bathroom breaks down, there's only so long you'll stay in a house with a broken bathroom. Story 16. Get annoyed at your boyfriend for not just knowing things that you never told him because you shouldn't have to tell him. Similarly, trying to figure out the real convoluted motivation behind your boyfriend doing something when he was being dumb and wasn't thinking is a sufficient explanation for his behavior. Story 17. Share everything about their relationship with friends and get advice on how to act in the relationship. Use sex as a reward and remove sex as a punishment. Story 18. The anxiety contest. This is particular to moms specifically. If you have stressed out about the most potential catastrophes, no matter how infinitesimally small the likelihood, what, do you win a prize? Story 19. Unconsciously looking for reasons to be hurt. I actually noticed this with a friend first and now realize that it happens a lot in relationships. She has this thing where she is impulsively offended if there is a potential for offense. A simple example. I had a stressful week and didn't talk to her for some days. She thinks I am upset with her or I did it otherwise by purpose. These fights seem to be designed to create closeness, but it's extremely exhausting to me. Story 20. Getting other people involved in any relationship issues can be problematic, especially if a man has very few friends. I've seen too many times that people tend to have automatic family or friend bias, leading to gang-ups and a lot of misunderstandings, plus intentional or unintentional manipulation. To me, that behavior or favoring in itself is toxic. I'm the kind that would immediately subdue and turn in my own son if there was enough evidence. Family and friends I will listen to more, but they will get as much scrutiny as the other party. Not acting like an adult includes playing mental games like giving hints, only using body language and expecting a man to pick up on it, or assuming that a certain action will draw attention to a problem. Basically, any action short of unbiased and objective direct communication without high emotions. Most of the women I encountered who do communicate often do so in a way that is already coming out of the gate swinging, angry at something, or even already casting blame. This falls under not acting like an adult to me. It took some work, but I am so glad my wife and I are able to sit down and talk about any problem without getting too emotional about it. Things get fixed rather quickly, and we discover that we both miss or misunderstand something most of the time. It also gives us a chance to actually understand each other's point of view or thought process. With proper communication, I've found that I now automatically pick up more of those subtleties that a lot of women I encountered expect me to have right off the bat. Story 21. Seriously, until this thread, I didn't realize so many issues I had with past girlfriends may literally just be in a significant portion of women's nature. Expecting you to be a mind reader. Check. Setting up tests and playing games. Check. Using you as their emotional crutch, but, in so many words, telling you to suck it up. Check. Trying to turn you into the man they want you to be instead of accepting you as you are. Check. That last one is, frankly, the killer in most of my relationships. I was the one that chose to break up in every single one of my failed relationships. Now here's the hilarious thing about this. The only real issues I've had with any of the women I've dated were the issues they had with me. I was just exhausted from trying to live up to their standards to the point where being alone was preferable. The whole thing just feels so one-sided, and I can't win. Like, it's just baffling. If I suck so much, why don't you break up with me? Story 22. If I change my schedule or make time to see a woman and she makes plans or sets something else up during that time, knowing I put effort into seeing her, that's a huge red flag that she cares way less about seeing me than I do about her. Sometimes this is intentional, but it's often actually an oversight of our misaligned schedules. Oh, and don't describe features you find attractive in someone that are a lot different than us. You're allowed to have your preferences, but this basically says that we're not your type. If we show you our favorite movie, you don't have to like it, but tell us you're not feeling it. Don't mock us. Story 23. Self-loathing. I think, sadly, a lot of women, both young and older, are not very positive about themselves, whether it be self-image, personality, or self-worth. This can have a terrible knock-on effect on their male partner, who is often keen to solve the problem or reassure and positively influence. This is often met with doubt regarding his truthfulness. This can also manifest very negatively when he spends any time away from the woman, such as with friends and family, and especially if he has any female friends, attractive or otherwise. Often the person is lovely and they are just extremely insecure, but they do need to take ownership of that, and they do need to cut out the toxic doubt in their partner. It broke up 2 of my long-term relationships in the end, and it didn't have to be that way. Story 24. Reading way too much into arguments and making them a lot worse than they really are in their head and insisting that their version is the real one. It's normal to make mistakes in any part of life, and if I unknowingly or unintentionally hurt you, that doesn't mean I take you for granted or that I'm possessive of you or whatever. Situations like these break trust and security in the relationship. Story 25. Requiring absolute honesty, then overreacting when their partner is completely honest. Yes, you are going to have emotions and you need to be able to express yourself within the relationship, but if you can't own your own feelings and speak about those emotions like an adult, you are, in effect, punishing your partner for being honest, and they will stop. Honesty requires creating a safe space in which that person can be heard. There is an equal responsibility on the part of the listener. Story 26. Talking to friends about problems in the relationship that should really be resolved within the relationship and not externally can lead to issues festering and getting worse. By the time they bring it up, it's often too late. Story 27. What about that? Yes, I make mistakes. Yes, it was something I apologized for 5 years ago. It is not relevant to our current conversation when I am trying to understand your actions. Are you trying to say your actions happened because of something from 5 years ago? Are you that petty? Story 28. I don't care what people try to tell you, but some women get a thrill out of seeing you get angry and will slowly antagonize you throughout the relationship. They want to see it so badly that they will get mad at you for resolving issues in ways that don't involve you getting angry. Story 29. Expecting a man to read her mind, understand the hints, and interpret the dance. Saying the opposite of what you mean, expecting us to understand this and react the way you really want us to. Men don't care for needlessly complicated things. It just means high maintenance. Story 30. Tones. Don't get upset because I said the correct words in the wrong tone. That teaches me. Then, don't get upset when I follow your lead and investigate your tones because clearly tones are the most important aspect of communicating. I don't know, dude. I'll stay single because I keep running into this issue. Maybe I've just dated some very unhappy women who needed to take it out on me. The fact of the matter is an improper tone shouldn't be a reason for fighting. Life is hard. I just got a stomach ache as I was replying to you. No, you're not disgusting. And yes, you should believe me.